Okay, Nicole, I think we can start letting folks in. Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome to our May PC Power Hour. Today, we're going to be talking about annual scholarship renewals, on-campus orientations, and summer programming. We have a packed agenda, so I'm going to jump right into our agenda for today. So today we're going to be, again, talking about the latest scholarship renewal process. Elena will be discussing that and giving you all the tools that you need to be able to track your scholars and be able to advise them on their renewal process and making sure that they do not miss that and end up becoming ineligible for the scholarship. And then we are going to be joined by two of our amazing partner colleges and spotlighting their new scholar on-campus orientation processes. So we're going to be joined by University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Brooklyn College in CUNY. After that, we're going to be talking a little bit about our summer programming for welcoming new scholars and how we are onboarding students on our end and how we can work collaboratively on this effort. And finally, joined by my colleague, Nicole Wesley, who is going to be talking about the summer career series that she's been managing and what that looks like for this year. With that, we're going to jump right into the latest scholarship renewal procedures, and I will hand it off to my colleague, Elena.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So this year, the renewal period is going to be from June 3rd to June 24th, so just right around the corner. The form will open at midnight on the 3rd and close at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time on the 24th. And we are doing everything we can to make sure folks understand that the 24th is a hard deadline this year. Over the past several years, we've allowed scholars to renew late, and it just really puts a huge kink in everything that we need to get done on the back end when we allow that. So moving forward, it's a hard deadline. If they don't meet it, unfortunately, they are out for the year. So just making sure everyone is aware of that. And you can go ahead and go on to the next one, Chris. All right, and along with that, this is our largest renewal class yet. So we have over 3,700 scholars who are eligible to renew this year. So having your support in reaching out to scholars is really going to help us make sure that everybody hits that June 24th deadline. And so the best way to do that is you're going to run your PC Scholar Report. Once you download it, you're going to use two different columns that you're going to filter on, and you need to make sure that you are using both columns. So the first one that you need to look at is going to be column AE, and that will have the information in there that lets you know for the 24-25 academic year whether they are eligible to renew or not. So there's three statuses: one that says eligible to renew, not eligible to renew, and new scholar will not renew or does not renew this year. So you want to look at everybody that says eligible to renew. Once you have that column filtered, you want to move over to column AG, and you'll be able to see their renewal status. So it's going to have one of two statuses on there: not complete or complete. Right now, if you were to run it and look at that information today, there is information populated in there, and that is based on the last renewal form the scholar filled out. So when June 3rd rolls around, all of those who are eligible to renew, that information will be wiped out. It'll be blank, and then you'll be able to see whether they're complete or not as they move through the next coming weeks. So we really hope that you'll be able to help us out by, reaching out to them. So Chris, you can go ahead and move on to the next one. And a couple of things to note. So if somebody is currently in the system and they're eligibility status, not their renewal eligibility, but their eligibility status is eligible. We are wanting everyone to make sure that they are filling out that renewal form. So if you know somebody has just graduated, they've dropped out of school, things like that, but we've had them in the system as eligible and their renewal status says that they're eligible to renew, we want them to fill out the form. This allows us to find out whether they're going to renew it for the upcoming academic year or they're not. So that's the very first question they're asked. If they select that they do not wish to renew this award, we're able to get some additional information from them. And these questions or the answers here are what they can let us know. So they're not attending a partner college, they're no longer attending college, they've graduated, or they'll graduate before the fall term starts, they've received permanent residency or another status. And it's just really imperative that, like I said, especially if you know somebody has just graduated, and they're in there as eligible to renew, that they take the steps and the time to go ahead and submit that they do not wish to renew the award. And for those that are going to renew the award, Chris, you can move on to the next slide. This is the structure that they have when they go in to look at it. So they're just confirming some scholar information. So they're confirming their email address, they're providing an alternate email address and an updated phone number. They're going to go through their immigration information again, so letting us know if they're DACA, TPS, undocumented, or have another immigration status. Once they get through that portion of it, it moves on to their college and university section. So they're going to let us know what partner college they're going to be attending this fall, their GPA, their credits, what degree they're currently seeking, class status, when they're expected to graduate, and their living arrangement. And then the final piece to the renewal is the upload of the transcript, which seems to trip up a lot of scholars. So Chris, if you'll move over to the next slide. What I have put here is just some information so that you're aware of what it looks like on their end when they go to upload their transcript. So that very first one there, they're going to hit the drop-down menu and select college university transcript. Then they're going to go over and click on choose file. They're going to find the file that they need to upload. And then you can see under the second little circle that's highlighted there, you can now see that their transcript shows there. And then they have to hit the upload button. That's where they get tripped up a lot of times. So they think they've done it. They think they've hit the upload button, but they haven't. And so it will continue to look like what it does in step 3. It has not been uploaded until it changes and you see what's there in step 4. So the drop down for college university transcript has now gone away. There's the delete button off on the side, and it shows that it was uploaded and the timestamp that it was uploaded. So I just wanted to make sure everybody sort of was able to see this information. So if you're reaching out to a scholar, they've said, hey, I've uploaded it, you're able to sort of walk them through going back into their form, making sure that they're seeing all of this information. Outside of that is going to be their renewal status. So once they have uploaded their transcript, Chris, you can go ahead and click on the PDF for me. You're going to be able, this is also just good information for you to know. So just when they're looking at their renewal form in general, there's 3 color coding buttons that are there. So once they have clicked on their renewal form, the gray one says started. You can see it there in the middle of the page. If they have submitted their renewal form, it changes to that orange gold color. And it can be that even if they have not uploaded their transcript. So just as a heads up there. Once their transcript has been reviewed and approved, it changes to green and says complete. So that's just for all statuses for every form that we ever have through ISTS. Those are the individual sort of statuses for the form itself. And then Chris, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down to the attachment section. So once a scholar has that yellow submitted or the yellow started button on their page and they have uploaded their transcript, we tell them it's their responsibility to keep checking the status to make sure that their form becomes complete. If they've uploaded the transcript and it's been, 4 or 5 days, they need to go and click on that yellow started button. And then it's going to open up this screen where it's going to show the attachment. And there's 4 possible statuses for that attachment. It was either never received. So again, they didn't upload it correctly. The yellow button says processing. If it was rejected, or if it was accepted. Now, if for any reason their transcript is rejected because it's missing vital information, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, Chris, this section here will pop up and it says what the form was or what the attachment was. So it's their college university transcript. And the reason it was rejected for this particular case shows that it's missing the student name and then the date that that was done. So it's the scholar's responsibility to constantly be checking, making sure that their transcript moves from processing to complete. So again, just wanted to make sure you all had this information. Once the slides go out in the PC Weekly tomorrow, you'll be able to go back in and access this as well as the individual links to the way it should look as they're attaching it, and then for these statuses. And you can go ahead and close that out, Chris. And then over to the next slide. And I think this is off to you.
Thank you, Elena, for that really sort of in-depth view. I think it's always helpful when our partner colleges can see what the students are seeing on their end to be able to troubleshoot these types of issues when students are going to their advisors and really sort of saying, I uploaded my transcript. I don't know why I keep saying that it doesn't work, right? So it's good for you guys all to be able to see this and really be able to advise them on what those issues might be and be able to sort of just manage that at the ground level. So we greatly appreciate you. This is one of the most pivotal moments of the scholarship cycle is the renewal process. And I 100% think that this is something that we need to be working collaboratively on and making sure that students are not missing the deadline and working to make sure that students know exactly what they need to be doing, right? And so we are emailing students, we are texting them, we are doing everything we can on our end, but sometimes it's just not enough, right? So this is where we all can work collaboratively and making sure that the scholars are not missing the deadline. And so I would really strongly recommend that once this goes live, even though we are sending it to them, you should double down and just email your scholars. Sometimes they hear it better if it comes from you because you're working with them on the ground, right? So if you can email them as that opens and let them know, hey, this is open, you need to do this. Like no matter what, this is what you need to do. If you miss this deadline, Elena is not playing and she will cut you out of this scholarship. You can lose your scholarship for not renewing before the deadline, right? So we need you guys all to also be emphasizing that really strong remark and making sure that students know that June 24th is a hard deadline and we are not making acceptances. I would say give them some time, maybe the week of June 17th, review your report, see those who are still outstanding, because now they're cutting it really close to missing that deadline and losing their scholarship. And once you've identified those, hopefully it's just a handful, hopefully it's zero. Once you've identified those students, I would say maybe make it a little bit more personal with a phone call and just let them know, hey, your application is still not submitted for renewal. If you don't do this within the next couple of days, you will be losing your scholarship, right? So that advice and that engagement from you all goes a really, really long way to make sure that we're not losing any students through the cracks. So with that, I want to shift over to our sort of main topic of today, which is the on-campus orientations, and really shift over to our partner colleges who are doing amazing work on their campus, and we'll be going an in-depth review about their own on-campus orientation processes. And with that, I will pass it off to University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Nicole.
Good morning, folks. Thank you, Chris. So Nayeli could not be with us today. She's doing some partnership work with our Mexican consulate, and so they're traveling this morning. But my name is Nicole Stella, and I am the director of a Gear Up program here at UNLV. I also serve as one of our 2 scholar advisors. Next slide. Okay, so we host every year a new scholar orientation the same day as the TheDream.Us orientation live stream. We start at about 9 a.m. and then we keep students here on campus with a variety of activities and presenters until 4 p.m. So it is a long day. It actually mirrors the schedule of our regular orientation that students have already participated in. So our goal when we were putting this together was basically to give students the status specific information that they would not receive during our standard orientation. So we start with a welcome and program review. We do some introductions. We're very intentional about our social and networking time during this day because it's one of the only chances we have to bring all of our new scholars into the same room and sort of guarantee that they will be there. So we have several different icebreakers we work through. We run through the national and campus scholar requirements, which I'll touch on briefly later. And then we talk about national and campus resources. From there, we invite a couple of our campus executive board members to join us. So last year, we were able to have our chief diversity officer, who's a VP, join us, and they ended up being this phenomenal resource for students. And I'll touch more on this a bit later, but we literally had a vice president on our campus coming in, handing out their direct line and saying, I'm here to talk to you and to help you. Then we follow it up with the TD.US live stream and lunch. We have found that feeding the students is really critical to the success of this day. Otherwise, they get very hungry, and that quickly leads to hangry. Then we have our financial aid and non-resident alien tax workshop, and I'll cover that in more depth shortly. Following that, we have direct representatives from our Multicultural Center and our Counseling and Psychological Services Center. These are campus resources that are specifically aimed at students who are undocumented. And we also have campus staff members in each of those offices who are documented, and they really appreciate the opportunity to connect with our students. And then we close out the day with a new scholar pledge. We have a lot of time for Q&A, and there are many questions. And then we ask the students to participate in an activity that I'll share more on in a bit. Next slide. Okay, so I know that some of you are already thinking that's great. This sounds like it might cost some money. So literally what we spend money on are space reservations, food, and that's the biggest cost, I'll admit it. We put things like fidget toys and decorations on the tables to welcome students, and we provide each of the students with notebooks, pens, folders, and the Dream.Us swag that gets sent out at the beginning of each year, as well as some general printing costs. It's not huge. The biggest cost in this is lunch. I think we spend about $500 on that. We get our funding from our Division of Diversity Initiatives, which is where this program is more formally housed. Our academic affairs and admissions teams also donate some university branded items, as well as breakfast last year for the students. And then, of course, the swag items come from the Dream.Us. And then this year and last year, we were very lucky to have a couple of external sponsors from local businesses that just want to connect with and support the students. And so they're actually paying for the students to receive branded notebooks and pens. And actually, you can move on to the next page. Okay, so we do communicate with the students a lot. We are very clear with them that this is mandatory. They get a welcome email from us on the award and a reminder to accept the award. And then we also send out an orientation announcement email in May. We've actually already sent that out as soon as we got the date confirmed from you all. And then we'll send a reminder in June, July, and early August, just to keep this front of center for students. And we also share other resources along the way. 3 days beforehand, we send out virtual access information for our students who are not currently in the Las Vegas area. And then the next day, immediately after the orientation, we send out a follow-up email with all of the resources that we cover. 1 week after that, we send them an email inviting them to our Rebel Ready Week sessions, which is a week prior to the start of the semester where they can feel comfortable on campus. And then our very first day on the first week of classes, they get another email from us with all of those resources, just as a quick link, and then a welcome to campus. And then one of the things you'll notice on here, so that's the National Scholarship Program Guide, but we've actually just gone in and created bit.lys for all of the important links that students need to have, and that's part of our presentation slide deck, which you all will have access to after this. Next slide. Okay. So we have something here called non-resident alien tax compliance. Our institution interprets this differently than other Dream.Us institutions, as far as we're aware. So each of our students needs to fill out something called an alien information collection form. During our first year of the program, we found this was a huge barrier. Students were routinely getting charged a 30% tax on their scholarship dollars, and it was going on to their student bill, and it would happen after the scholarship went through, so they weren't getting it until almost the end of the semester. It was causing registration holds for the semester afterwards. It was a whole big thing. And so with this next cohort, we decided to actually get a computer lab during orientation, have all of the students fill out this form, and then we would print that form out and help them make copies of the documents that they need to submit with that form. That did require some work ahead of time because we had to ask the students to bring things like their passports and any form of identification that they have, their high school transcripts. And we also had to help the students feel comfortable with sharing that information. So in addition to that time in the computer lab, we also have a brief informational presentation for the students, just so that they understand what's happening. I think for us, this was just the easiest way to get all of our students in the same place and have them fill out this one piece of paper that ends up being such a frustrating barrier for them. And it worked out really well for us this last year. We're still fine-tuning it a little bit this year, so we'll see how it goes. Next slide. Okay, so we do cover a lot in our Q&A session. These are the most consistent questions that we get from our students, and we use this actually to help plan our sessions for the next year and then any informational sessions that we add along the way. So we have financial aid and student accounts. They always want very specific, concrete information, not just your scholarship will be paid. We also talk about course enrollment, logistics, if they are interested in part-time. And then we get a lot of questions about majors and minors and wanting to add them or switch them. And so we always cover that with them in a little bit more depth. And then this year we noticed a lot of our students were not sure how to transfer their accommodations from their high school or community college into the university setting. And so we're actually going to be adding a session on that this year just so that they feel a little bit more comfortable. And of course, we talk about scholarship requirements, which I'll touch on in a little bit. Next slide. So the one thing that we found, we closed out the session by watching a YouTube video called Undocu Joy. And it's a love letter to my undocumented people. It's something that Nayeli, our coordinator, brought in, and we asked the students to watch that, and then we asked them to share one word that just described how they felt after this day, which had been very long. There was paperwork involved, it was heavy, and we were not sure what we were going to get. And consistently, we just got that they felt like they belonged, that they felt like people wanted them at our institution, and that they felt that this was home for them and that we were a safe space for them. And we did want to get that across to them, but what we didn't realize is that throughout the day, we had, I think, 8 or 9 guest speakers from around campus come in, all of whom specifically shared why they were there, why they cared about this population in particular, and how they could help them. And so for our students, it was like, we know you and Nayeli are safe, but this was our first chance to hear that there are a lot of people on this campus who are here specifically for me. And so that's definitely something we're looking to replicate. I don't know if we'll hit that same magic every year, but it at least gave us a formula to start with, because we do have people who want to support our students and are very excited to have them here. So we want to do our best to leverage those connections. Next slide. Okay, and then of course, we also very intentionally build peer-to-peer connections through icebreakers. We have a group WhatsApp. We ask them to pull out their phones and exchange information with at least one other scholar, just so everyone stays connected. Next slide. Okay, and then we have our ongoing resources. Orientation is not a one and done thing. Anyone who's ever worked in admissions knows this. So we send them a Google shared folder. We build our annual program schedule in June. And we share that with them, and we do not deviate from the dates and times on that. We may add programs, but we never subtract. And then we require our students to attend a one-on-one with us each semester, as well as a coaching workshop from our academic success coaches. And then, of course, we hold events during the first 6 weeks of the semester, each semester. And you can review all of our handouts, presentations, and resources in that folder. And then last slide. And then these are just some of our students, an example of some of the decorations that we use, some of our events throughout the year. So we found that having this orientation made a huge difference to whether or not they were willing to talk to each other in addition to talking to us. So I hope that this gives you a quick idea of what we do. I'm happy to chat with folks outside or after as needed. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much, Nicole. That is awesome. I want to shift to another amazing college, Brooklyn College, and pass it off to our partners, Jesus and Leslie.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Nicole, for sharing. I think orientation as a whole, it has a very generic structure in terms of getting this to happen for our students to understand that they're welcome, right? But I want to echo what Nicole mentioned in terms of creating trust, building trust. I think that's one of the things that we want to make sure that everything that we do during the orientation, to me, the way I frame it is the beginning of a conversation, right? So we're starting a 4-year-long conversation, and we want to make sure that at each touch point, we review some of the things that are, we told them in the beginning, and we continue from there. Leslie?
Yeah, so hi everybody. Thank you for having us. And just like Jesus said, um, trust is one of the things that we really want to continue building with our students. I'll do a short introduction. I'm the program coordinator here at ESO, also known as the Immigrant Student Success Office. The office has been here for 5 years, but I just joined about a year and 4 months ago. So I do want to give kudos to Jesus because he has been managing the office on his own, and now we're a duo, a team. So it's been really great to see the office grow, and hopefully some of the practices that we shared today are helpful for you guys as well. Next slide. So we start our TheDream.Us new scholar orientation. This is specifically a picture from the one from last year, so August 10th, and it's very beautiful to share this picture because one of the things that we start with is when students come to the office is we ask them for consent with taking photos. So the photos that you see today are photos that we have gotten consent from our students. And to the right-hand side is a short agenda of what we do. We start the first 30 minutes with having people come in, settle in. We are a big campus, so some folks get lost. Some are starting to, get used to showing their ID or the buildings, the layout of the campus. So we make sure that we give them at least 30 minutes to come in, settle in, grab food. And then we start with welcome remarks. So we start off with Jesus, our director, also introducing them to our vice president of student affairs, our dean, and last year we had the pleasure to have Chris here in the office. So that was also great to have them know that somebody
Put
from
it
the
back everything. I told you you're gonna wait until
Dream.Us was also here and in person, and excited to also greet them and, celebrate this milestone with them. And then from there, we do little team introductions. I introduce myself, our Fetterman Fellows, which I'll talk a little bit later on, also get to introduce themselves. And we want to also highlight our financial advisor and our DocuAlly member that we have that day, so that they know that we're not the only ones that they can come to, but there's also faculty staff that are willing to support them. And again, we want to make sure that they understand what the scholarship is, what it entails. And we have a little commitment. I do want to shout out Denise from John Jay. We did replicate her idea of a scholar commitment so that they can meet with us one-on-one for check-ins, but also come to events. And we feel that that has worked a lot for us. And that gets them to bond together with their peers. And then towards the end, we just joined the National Dream Scholar Orientation, and we do closing remarks where they get their Dream.Us swag. So next slide.
And if you can look really carefully here, there's Chris at the end of that picture. But it's so important that he came because they get to see a lot of the moving pieces behind the scenes. I think it's so important for them to realize that they have, and I think Nicole mentioned, right, allies outside of this space. So that's the other intentionality that we have in the programming, is that we have the space, you're welcome here, this is yours, but outside of this, every piece of this campus, every corner in this campus is theirs as well. And the more that we can bring people from those places to come here when they're being welcomed, the better that it does become for them, because they realize, oh, there's somebody in financial aid, there's somebody over at the bursar. And at Brooklyn College, I don't know if it's in the next slide, Chris, if we can go to the next one, there is this need for students to sign an affidavit, right, for them to receive in-state tuition. So most of the time, we wouldn't know the student had to get this affidavit done until they get a letter from the residency department, right? So if we can get the person from the residency department to come and explain to them, for us to be at the regular orientation, they wouldn't get in-state tuition, the Dream.Us wouldn't come in. So it kind of let everything else to kind of not work out. So it was so important to get the residency component and the financial aid component to happen in the beginning. But it's so much information that happens, right, that at the same time we don't expect them to remember everything, right? We just tell them, and more than anything is the expectations that we have from them and what they have for us, right? We want to listen to them. We want to make sure that they tell us any concerns, anything that's happening, you know, as so far. And some of them come with questions pre-made already, saying, no, I haven't registered, I made an appointment, I have a hold, whatever they have on the table. And that is your first test. They're testing you because they want to know, can you help me? And I think every single time that we step up for them, every single time that we answer the calls, they're building that trust factor, right? They're saying, oh, they actually follow through. Because we can say it a million times, oh, we are here for you, we're here for you, but they're going to come at you not when you have an appointment with them. They're going to come at you at different times. Either they're failing a class, they didn't get their bill paid, any single thing. And at that moment, I think it's so crucial for us to remember, right? This is what makes this trust work. This is the moment that you build that relationship. Step up and try to do the best that you can for them, because you will see it will pay in the end. When I tell them, you're going to have to see me 3 times a semester, they look at me like I have 3 heads, right? Why would I have to see you 3 times a semester? So I like to see them before the semester begins to make sure the classes are in order, the affidavit is signed, everything is in place. And then in the middle of the semester, just before they're going to register for the following semester, to make sure they met with a major advisor, they know what they're taking, see how the progress is going in the current classes. And then right now I'm waiting for them to get the grades. Once they get the grades, I want to see them again. And some of them will come in with really happy faces and joy and say, look, Jesus, I got A's. And others will tell me, Jesus, I'm really embarrassed. I don't know what happened here. And that moment, you know, it's key again, right? For you to talk, look at what happened and take it from there. So, you know, the more that you can act and interact with them and those points, it's important for them to realize that we're there. So we bring the VP of Student Affairs, we bring the UndocuAllied committee. You know, I have to stress what Leslie said. It wasn't me that was just running this office. We have faculty members that come to this office. We have staff members that come to this office. So it's really a community building exercise. So we're building trust and we're building our community, right? And the more that they come back, and they bring allies and they bring other folks, you see your resources expand, right? We wanted to talk about the Fetterman program that we're running. And I don't know, let me see what's, yes. So we have this amazing opportunity. And I have to say the seed came from the Dream.Us fellowship program, right? They said, we're going to give you some funding for the scholars to have a paid internship fellowship opportunity. However, on year 3, you're going to have to produce some of this initiatives on your own. And we took it very seriously. And I remember I asked Nicole Wesley and say, oh, what happens if I don't get the funding? How about if they don't give me the funding? Would I go to jail? And of course they said, no, we'll work with you, but we're going to teach you that it's important for you to start asking now. And if I could tell you anything, start on year one and giving them the example of what you're doing with the students who may not, get any internships or fellowships because they don't have a social security number, and tell the institution that you're working on this solution, how this is working, right? I'm happy to report that last year, Brooklyn College was able to provide the office with $50,000 for the Fetterman Fellowship, right? And it included some amazing opportunities for our students. So I'll let Leslie speak a little bit about the structure of the fellowship.
Yeah, so like Jesus said, we launched the Fetterman Fellowship last year, August, right before the New Scholar Orientation, which was perfect timing. And this gave the opportunity to 5 Fetterman Fellows, so 4 undergraduate students and one grad student, the opportunity to mentor other undocumented and immigrant students within the office. So this is open to juniors and seniors. There are some GPA requirements, but the whole purpose of the program is for us to support our Fettermans and for our Fettermans to also support the incoming community that we have, which is why it was so crucial for us to have them at the orientation so that their peers, their incoming peers could know this is someone that I can trust. This is someone that has been through a similar situation, and I can go to them for support, not only Jesus and Leslie. So each Fetterman gets placed into a role. We have a social media communication fellow, which is tasked in learning how to do a newsletter, anything related to social media, help us create that engagement on social media as well. We found that that helps us bring more students into the office. Our community outreach and recruitment fellow, making sure that we're designating times that we're at high schools for sophomore, juniors, and seniors to know about what resources are available in terms of financing their education. So right before TheDream.Us opens, the months leading up to it, September, October, we are at high schools prepping students to know what they should be on the lookout for when it opens, and the following steps after that. Our graduate research and data reporting fellow tasked with helping us, document, collect all the data that we have in the office and see the outcomes of what happens when we actually fund our communities and how helpful it is to our community. Our peer advocate and wellness fellow, that fellow is specifically tasked with creating guidelines for the most basic things that we can imagine, such as getting an ID, getting a driver's license, but also where to find help in terms of health clinics within all 5 boroughs, food pantries, legal assistance, and our programming community fellow, which helps us start the calendar, but create ideas, and they're kind of the outlet from our students to let them know, like, hey, a tote bag event would be cool outside on the quad when the weather gets nice. We would love to see that. So these are some of the roles that they're tasked with, and at the end of the day, they come together as a team, and we have our own team meetings as well so that they can have each other's back and learn how to work collaboratively as well, and replicate what they will find once they graduate from college. And again, it's just a connection that we want our students to know, that our incoming scholars to know that when they are juniors and seniors, they'll be able to apply for this opportunity and it will be paid, right? Because moving forward, we want things to continue to be paid to help support our community. Next slide.
And I wanted to say about the Fetterman, the last thing was that it was intentional that we, made it juniors and seniors because we wanted to make sure that we got them to the finish line, right? So we wanted that last year for them to get some money, for them to experience some of the things they needed to do before getting out there into the world. I get ready for the postgraduate opportunities. And, $10,000 is not a lot of money, I know, but it's something that will support our students who may normally have to do 2 or 3 jobs just to make it during the year. So that, and at the same time, the ask from the Brooklyn College Foundation was that the students were going to be peer mentors, right? They were going to come back and now cement the next generation and retain those students. So that was the proposal to the Brooklyn College Foundation, to invest in ESO and our students to continue growing and working on the retention matters and recruitment matters as well. So again, we talk about building trust on campus, helping our students understand that they are welcome here and they're able to navigate and to own. We have students that have different offices that they visit, right? So they may be part of the Honors Academy, they may be part of SEEK, they may be part of different areas. And we try to visit them where they are, right? So they come here, but then and we go to the places where they have the other orientations as well, to know that we work with SEEK, that we work directly with the honors program, that we work with all the other different resources on campus. And again, the visibility and listening to you over and over again will get them to come back. The last thing I want to say is in terms of working and building trust is to let them take some ownership of your space, right? Asking them what they need and what they would like to offer other students. So sometimes they will let you know, Jesus, I need some help in filling out the New York State DREAM Act. So they're asking us to kind of open it up. We help them, but then we let them also help the other students who have the same questions and reaching out to some high school students that may be having the same issues. Next
slide. Yeah.
And I believe that we're at the end of our time, right, Chris? So I think I just want to give it back to you and say that indeed, graduation begins at orientation. We were at graduation on Friday and we got to see other students. And I kept thinking of the first time I ran into those students and what were the conversations that we had. And I reminded some of them as they were working, I would say, remember when we had that talk? And it's truly this conversation that gets you to work with them and work on this journey, right? I know that, sometimes we don't have that much to offer resources wise, but I think the little things that we can offer them go a long way in terms of facilitating and getting them to graduation. We'll be happy to answer any questions at the end, right, Chris?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. I want to be we are sort of running a little short on time because I really want to open up an open forum at the end for any of your questions and concerns or anything for our panelists. I think that was an amazing job, an in-depth view of what these orientations can look like on your campus, the importance of having them, and why they get students started on the right track. So I want to save some time for that. So I probably am going to go through the next couple of slides a little quickly so that we have some time for your questions, and hopefully you can engage with some of our panelists today regarding what these orientations might look like on your own campus. So we have put together an on-campus orientation guide. This is a broad overview of topics, ideas, and best practices, not only from some of the best practices you have heard today, but working with some of our other colleges like John Jay, University of Houston, and other orientations that we see going around across the country. And so we've put together a lot of these sort of overlapping concepts and ideas and put them together in this guidebook to hopefully just allow you to gain some perspective, really look at the ideas that are being circulated, and really look at this as a toolkit. It doesn't mean that you have to implement everything that's in the guide, but really look at it over and see what works best for your campus culture, for your students, and for your administrative staff, for what is going on your campus, right? It helps to address the most frequent inquiries and needs that we see of our scholars, right? So one of the overlapping themes that I saw today from both campuses is how they're both working on some of the nuances, right? So UNLV had sort of that tax waiver information that needed to be completed, which is not sort of on that broader scope that we are able to address with students, but they have identified that as a pocket where their students needed additional help and guidance, and we're able to sort of provide that through the orientation process so that students don't get stuck in that early stage of the process, right? Same thing with Brooklyn College, right? They identified the particular situations with New York State DREAM Act, and particular hold and the residency forms that need to be completed that also help hold students up. And they've identified that need that is particular to their students and implemented that as part of their orientation process to get students through that process and hurdle, right? So again, this is where these on-campus orientations are highlighted because they're not things that we can talk to at the Dream.Us level because they're not universal. We're trying to tackle each one of these nuances at every state and at every campus would be just impossible and more confusing for the students. So if you take one thing away from that, I think, finding ways to really tackle those specific situations on your campus would be ideal. But the link to the guide is here. Please review and again, use at your own convenience. Now we're going to jump into our summer programming for the Dream.Us. We've actually already kicked off our Dream.Us email series for new scholars on May 22nd. It was the first of 5 emails that will be going out to new scholars. One email will go out every 2 weeks from now to July 17th. Each email will tackle a particular topic from their scholar commitments, program guides, maximizing their awards, joining our private Facebook group, and of course, ending with the culmination of inviting them to our National New Scholar Welcome. So all of these emails will be going out to students on these particular dates so that they are fully aware of their onboarding process and what they need to be doing to start their scholarship programs at our partner colleges. In conjunction with the emails, we will be also offering 3 30-minute sessions, which we have deemed our Dream.Us office hours. They are in conjunction with the emails to also answer student new scholar questions. Each session will be 30 minutes with a small part of each session tackling a different topic of interest for our students. So the first session we'll discuss what the scholarship covers. On June 2nd, June 20th, we will be talking about what the stipend, how the stipend works. And then finally, on the 27th, we will talk to them about how to keep your scholarship, right? So the topics will be short, 5 to 10 minutes, because we want the bulk of these sessions to be dedicated to answering student specific questions. So we will cover the topics at hand, but then we'll open up for any questions. It doesn't need to be about that specific topic, but me, Elena, and a bunch of our team members will be on these sessions through the chat and verbally answering students' questions so that, again, they have some of their inquiries answered before coming into the semester beginning. Our nationwide new scholar welcome, you've heard both our PCs allude to having their orientations coincide with our new scholar welcome. So want to let everyone know as of right now, Thursday, August 8th, and you can see the different time zones there indicated, we will be hosting our National New Scholar Welcome. It will be a 1-hour session. We strongly encourage for you to do a on-campus viewing of the event. And also, if possible, combined with your own orientations on campus is a great opportunity. One, to celebrate students. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to try to keep it a tight 1 hour, really just celebrating students, letting them know that they're part of this national community of support, both at the national level and at the campus level. So it hits all the different aspects of that if you can also do your own orientations on that day. We will be providing new scholar swag. As you can see, we will be also doing, again, the little drawstring bag. We'll be doing a journal. We'll be doing some laptop stickers. And we will also be doing the pens from last year. I don't know if you kind of noticed, but it says a decade of opportunities, 10 years, 10,000 dreams. This is our 10th anniversary for the Dream.Us, which we celebrated earlier this year. And so we wanted to make sure that we are continuing to mark that momentous occasion with our new incoming scholars for this year. So it should be a pretty good giveaway for you all to like, again, bring students together and share in this experience. We're trying to make the mailing list as easy as possible. So we are using the template from the graduation stalls from just a couple of months ago, right? So you can click on the link here. It'll take you to that mailing list. If you ordered graduation stalls last couple of months ago, your information will already be on that mailing list. We just need you to confirm. Even if it's already there, just confirm, yes, this is where we want our new scholar swag to be sent. If you didn't order stalls last year, you can still get swag. So we would just need you to go into that and update the address information so that we know where to mail that to. We also have a strong deadline of June 28th because we are working with our vendors and getting all of the swag out to our partner colleges, hopefully prior to August 8th for that new scholar welcome. So it is a hard, hard deadline. Please make sure that you do so before that. And with that, I will pass it off to Nicole Wesley for the Summer Career Series.
Thanks, Chris. So I'm excited to share the lineup for this summer's Summer Career Series. These all will be hosted the last full weeks in July. All of them will be starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, except for one of them, our Immigrant Entrepreneur Panel. But we have a great lineup with wonderful guest speakers who are undocumented and immigrant entrepreneurs that'll be talking about career pathways, entrepreneurship, independent contracting, and more. So please promote out this opportunity to your current scholars, your incoming scholars, as well as alumni. And do also know that our partner college staff are also welcome to attend these sessions as well. You can find more details on our scholar events calendar. We'll also be promoting these in our our PC Weekly. I do also want to plug our PC Careers Grant and remind everyone that you can also request funding to host your own on-campus career event. I'll put the link in the chat after this, but you can also pair this grant with the Summer Career Series, doing your own on-campus career-related event, and also pairing that with one of the sessions through our Summer Career Series. And then due to time, we're gonna bypass the final two, but you will get the slides about some inclusive paid opportunities, including the Poderosas Fellowship. Chris, do you want me to talk about this? I think due to time, we'll just skip. And then Code the Dream has some free coding classes, and for students that pass those coding classes, they can apply to paid apprenticeships through Code the Dream. So you can learn more about that in these slides that you will get later this week through our PC Weekly. And the last thing, tax guide. We are finalizing and updating a 3-page tax guide. There's a 1-pager currently on our ITIN website, but we are expanding that to a 3-pager that will hopefully go live within the next couple weeks. So you are welcome to share this out with new scholars as well as current scholars. I know tax season is no longer, but there's some great helpful resources, Q&As through this Tax Matters guide that will benefit all of your scholars, including those that are incoming.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. We do have some minutes left over, so I want to, again, just open the forum if you have any questions regarding the renewal process or any of orientation questions for our panelists today. Just want to open the floor. Please don't be shy and raise your hand, or you can just unmute yourself and ask your questions.
I'll go ahead and kick it off, Chris, because there was a question that came in right after I finished. Just a reminder, when looking at the renewal statuses, the ones that are currently populating in the PC Scholar Report are based on the last renewal form that a particular scholar filled out. It is not showing the current one. So when the form opens on the 3rd, everyone who is eligible to renew their status will update on the 3rd.
And we have a question in the chat, Elena. When will scholars get the renewal email?
On the 3rd.
Any other questions for any of our panelists who did an amazing job? So I want to thank them all, not only for presenting, but for the amazing work that you guys are all doing on campus to make sure students are getting started on the right track. Any questions for our panelists? Oh, everybody wants to act shy now?
One other question that I did see around around specifically the transcript that came in was, does it have to be a PDF? So it does not have to be a PDF. The PDF is the preferred. choice of upload for that, but JPEG, PNG, things like that. But if they've got multiple screenshots, they all have to be placed into a zip folder because only one document can be uploaded. So if they've got multiple screenshots and they go to upload the individual screenshots, only one of those will upload and it'll get rejected.
And I see a couple of questions regarding the career grant. The career grant is currently open, and folks, if you got a grant last semester, you can apply again for this year. So it is based on years. So if you haven't received one this academic year from January to December, you can apply again to receive funding for either this summer or fall. And Dylan, I see you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the renewal process. So if a student fills out the renewal process June 3rd, and they're taking summer classes, but their overall GPA is below the requirement of the scholarship, when would the student find out that they were not renewed, or not renewed based off their transcript from spring, let's say?
Got it. Very good question, Dylan. So because we have so many and the form doesn't close until the 24th of June, it still is about another week for any documents that were uploaded on the last day for ISTS to process those. And then they'll do a cleanup, make sure everything is good before they send it over to me to do all the review. So it's the end of July before scholars will find out whether or not they have been renewed for the next academic year.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, concerns? All right. I know people get shy during these sessions, so we will include all of our panelists' email addresses in the actual PowerPoint that will go out tomorrow in the PC Power Hour, along with the recording of today's session. So if you want to reach out to them afterward with questions regarding their orientations or just want to bounce some ideas off of them based on some of the stuff that they're already doing, they have all graciously agreed to receive your questions and help you through that process as well, offline after this session. So again, you'll have that information included into the slides, and we'll be able to reach out to them directly. Again, I just want to thank everyone again for your presentation today. I think it was a really rich presentation, in depth, really providing some great foundational work for students and getting them started on the right track, that is essential for student success, right? Like, I think all of you hit that note of sort of belonging and trust, and really clearing some of those nuances and pitfalls that students can get stuck on, right? And why it's so important to have these sessions and have them sort of move along the process with that certainty. So thank you all so much. With that, oh, do we have another question?
Not another question, but one thing that I completely forgot to mention during sort of my section around the renewal. If you have a scholar who has already maxed out on time or funds and they are filling out the request form for bridge funding or bridge time where we provide one additional semester, just wanted everyone to be aware that if they are doing that, them filling out that form basically is in place of the renewal because they're no longer eligible to actually renew the scholarship. Any request coming in for bridge time or bridge funding basically is their version of the renewal.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't, that means, I'm sorry, I'm very sick, so I didn't want to talk too much. That means if they already match up and I know if they need one more semester, I would ask them to renew or no?
No, they don't renew. They won't renew, Gabriella.
Yeah.
They won't renew. They will need to go to their ISTS Scholar portal and fill out the request form to ask for an additional term of funding.
Perfect. So I'm clear. And I have another question. You were showing the steps for the upload. Is any way I can have that step? That way, when I email them, I can send them a screenshot and clear and say, this is the way I want you to do.
Yes. So when the link is put in for the slides tomorrow in the PC Weekly, when you receive that, all those
Yeah.
links are active within the slide. So you'll just go to the slide and click on those links to get that piece.
Thank you so much. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Gabriela. So for our final note, just want to give everyone an update. So we will be taking a break in June, and we will not be conducting a PC Power Hour for that month. I see Jesus giving me the thumbs up, like that's great. I was tired of seeing you already, but that's all right. But unfortunately, Jesus, you will see me again July 30th. So that will be our next PC Power Hour. We will be keeping you all up to date in the PC Weekly with everything going on with our programming until then, and look forward to seeing you guys on July 30th. So thank you so much again to all of our panelists, but to all of our PCs. Thank you so much for everything that you do. See you in July.
Thank you.